Imagine a small country, nestled in the heart of Europe, that stood tall when giants clashed around it, a nation that faced invasion, occupation, and war not once, but time and again, yet never lost its spirit. This is not just a story of soldiers and battles, it's the story of Belgium, and how its quiet strength helped shape the course of modern history. In 1914, Belgium was thrust into a global catastrophe it never asked for. As Europe spiraled into war, Belgium's neutral stance, recognized by major powers, meant nothing to Germany's military planners. The German Empire, executing the infamous Schlieffen Plan, demanded passage through Belgium to swiftly attack France. When Belgium refused, defending its sovereignty with dignity, Germany invaded without mercy. This act of aggression wasn't just strategic, it was brutal and deeply symbolic. The violation of neutrality outraged much of the world, particularly Britain, which used the invasion as a moral casus belli to enter the war. The German military, encountering more resistance than expected from the Belgian army and civilian volunteers, responded with disproportionate force. Towns like Liege and Leuven were shelled and burned, and thousands of civilians were executed in what would be remembered as the Rape of Belgium. These atrocities weren't random, they were meant to break the spirit of a nation and send a message of terror. Yet Belgium didn't break. King Albert I led from the front lines, and the resistance, though outmatched militarily, became a symbol of courage and defiance. The world took notice. Belgium, a small country caught between empires, became a moral compass in the chaos. Propaganda across Allied nations portrayed the Belgians as brave underdogs, helping to sway public opinion and increase recruitment. Belgium's suffering was very real. Economically crippled, its land occupied, its people displaced, but so was its resolve. The invasion of Belgium in 1914 was more than a military maneuver. It was a defining moment that exposed the cost of imperial ambition and forced the world to reckon with the consequences of violating the innocent for strategic gain. During the German occupation of Belgium in World War I, the country endured nearly 4 years under foreign control. After the initial invasion in 1914, the German military quickly established strict rule over the occupied territories, dividing Belgium into different administrative zones, including a general government and military zones. The occupiers imposed curfews, censorship, and heavy economic restrictions. Belgian industries were dismantled or redirected for the German war effort, and raw materials were extracted or stolen. Food shortages became common, and the economy collapsed, leaving the civilian population struggling for survival. In response to German brutality, the Belgian people began resisting in subtle but powerful ways. Underground newspapers circulated secretly, spreading information and keeping morale alive. Civilians sabotaged German infrastructure by damaging telegraph lines, railroads, and supply routes. Belgian intelligence networks worked with the Allies, collecting and transmitting military information at great personal risk. Resistance also took the form of passive defiance, refusing to comply with orders, hiding young men to avoid forced labor, and maintaining national identity under suppression. The occupation was marked by acts of cruelty, including mass executions of civilians accused of aiding resistance fighters. Entire towns were punished for the actions of a few. Despite this, the population remained resilient. The Catholic Church, cultural institutions, and teachers all played roles in preserving Belgian identity during occupation. The courage of the Belgian resistance became a symbol of hope for Allied nations and an inspiration to other occupied countries. German authorities attempted to use propaganda and intimidation to gain cooperation, but the majority of Belgians never accepted foreign rule. Their quiet but determined resistance demonstrated the power of unity, even when the odds seemed impossible. Through suffering and sacrifice, Belgium maintained its dignity and reminded the world of the strength found in defending freedom and national integrity. In May 1940, Belgium once again found itself at the center of a major European conflict, as Nazi Germany launched a rapid and devastating invasion. Despite efforts to remain neutral, Belgium's geography made it a strategic target in Hitler's plan to bypass France's Maginot Line through a surprise northern attack. The German assault began with Operation Fall Gelb, a coordinated strike involving paratroopers, mechanized infantry, and overwhelming air power. Belgian defenses, though more modern than in World War I, were quickly overrun by the German blitzkrieg, a fast-moving form of warfare that combined speed, surprise, and overwhelming force. The attack on Belgium started with air raids on key cities, followed by airborne troops seizing critical bridges and transport routes. The fortress city of Liege and the fortified KW line were unable to hold against the momentum of the German advance. Despite fierce resistance from Belgian, British, and French forces, the Germans pushed through the Ardennes region previously thought to be impassable for tanks, surprising the Allies and encircling their armies. Within weeks, German forces had seized most of Belgium, forcing the Belgian army into retreat. King Leopold III made the controversial decision to surrender unconditionally on May 28, 1940, believing continued resistance would only lead to more civilian suffering. This decision led to a political crisis within the Belgian government, which went into exile in London. Under occupation, Belgium faced Nazi control, economic exploitation, forced labor, and the persecution of its Jewish population. Cities were militarized, and life under the occupiers became harsh and repressive. The swift fall of Belgium in 1940 revealed the terrifying power of modern mechanized warfare and left the country once again under foreign rule. Its people facing the uncertainty of a second devastating occupation within a single generation. In 1944, after years under harsh German occupation, Belgium witnessed a dramatic turn as Allied forces launched a massive counteroffensive across Western Europe. Following the success of the DID landings in Normandy, the Allies advanced rapidly through France, and by early September, they reached Belgian soil. The liberation began with the entry of British and American forces, cheered on by Belgian civilians who had endured hunger, forced labor, repression, and the constant fear of Nazi control. Cities like Brussels, Antwerp, and Liege were reclaimed from German hands with minimal destruction. As retreating Nazi forces scrambled to regroup, the liberation was met with immense joy and relief. Crowds filled the streets waving Belgian and Allied flags, welcoming soldiers with flowers and tears. However, the war was far from over. The port of Antwerp, a key logistical hub, was captured intact by the Allies. But German forces still held the Scheldt estuary, preventing its use. A difficult and bloody battle, the Battle of the Scheldt, was fought by Canadian and British troops to clear the waterways and allow the port to function, which became vital for supplying Allied armies that as Belgium returned to Allied control. Resistance fighters, known as the Belgian Underground, emerged from the shadows, aiding the military and helping to restore order. But the country's struggle continued. In December 1944, Germany launched a surprise counterattack in the Ardennes, leading to the Battle of the Bulge, one of the war's fiercest battles. American troops, supported by Belgians, fought under brutal winter conditions to halt the offensive. The successful defense marked a turning point, ensuring the final retreat of German forces. Belgium's liberation in 1944 symbolized not only military success, but also the resilience of a nation that had suffered deeply and stood firm. Allied aid, strategic victories, and the unity of Belgium's people paved the way for the country's recovery and the restoration of its independence. After the end of World War II, Belgium emerged from occupation determined to secure lasting peace and protect its sovereignty in an increasingly divided world. As tensions rose between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union, the global landscape shifted into the Cold War era. Belgium, situated at the crossroads of Europe, became a key player in the formation of Western alliances. In 1949, Belgium became one of the founding members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, a collective defense alliance aimed at deterring Soviet expansion and protecting democratic nations. Hosting NATO's headquarters in Brussels elevated Belgium's political and strategic importance on the global stage. During the Cold War, Belgium played a vital role in NATO's military planning and operations. Its military infrastructure, including air bases and supply lines, was integrated into the alliance's defense network. Belgian troops participated in joint exercises and were stationed in West Germany as part of NATO's forward defense strategy. The country also modernized its armed forces to meet alliance standards, shifting from a nation once overrun by invasions to one actively involved in collective defense. Belgium's geographic location made it a potential target in the event of conflict between East and West, prompting heavy investment in civil defense and military preparedness. Belgian citizens became accustomed to the presence of international troops and the responsibilities of alliance membership. Politically, Belgium maintained strong support for NATO, balancing its historical commitment to neutrality with its dedication to multilateral cooperation. Throughout the Cold War, Belgium was not only a military contributor, but also a diplomatic bridge, advocating for unity within NATO and cooperation with European partners. The presence of NATO's political and military institutions in Brussels highlighted Belgium's transformation from a battleground of empires to a hub of international diplomacy and peacekeeping, shaping its modern identity within the global order. In the post-Cold War world, Belgium transitioned from a focus on territorial defense to active participation in global peacekeeping and humanitarian missions. Drawing on its experience of occupation and liberation, Belgium embraced a role centered on international cooperation, human rights, and conflict resolution. Belgian forces began contributing to United Nations and European Union missions, often in challenging regions where security, stability, and humanitarian needs intersected. Their involvement emphasized professionalism, diplomacy, and a commitment to protecting civilian lives. Belgium deployed troops and medical personnel to various UN missions in Africa, including operations in Congo, Rwanda, and Mali. The country's historical ties to Central Africa, particularly the Democratic Republic of Congo, influenced both the scale and sensitivity of its involvement. Belgian peacekeepers have supported disarmament, monitored ceasefires, protected refugee camps, and helped train local security forces in post-conflict zones. These missions often required coordination with non-governmental organizations and international partners to rebuild institutions and promote long-term stability. In Europe and the Middle East, Belgian forces have contributed to NATO and EU missions in Kosovo, Bosnia, Lebanon, and Afghanistan. These deployments ranged from combat support roles to civilian protection and infrastructure reconstruction. Belgium has also provided naval support in anti-piracy operations off the Horn of Africa, and has participated in air operations against terrorist groups in Iraq and Syria. These efforts reflect a commitment to collective security and global peace. Even beyond its immediate borders, Belgian military policy today emphasizes a blend of defense, diplomacy, and development. The armed forces are trained not only in warfare, but also in mediation, cultural sensitivity, and humanitarian aid. Belgium's contributions to peacekeeping have reinforced its identity as a principled, reliable partner on the international stage. Determined to support global peace, not through domination, but through compassion, cooperation, and a deep understanding of shared human dignity. Belgium's military history is not just a story of invasions and battles, it is a story of courage, endurance, and transformation. From the trenches of World War I to the devastation of World War II, Belgium endured foreign occupations with quiet strength and unshakable resolve. In the Cold War, it chose partnership over isolation, standing with allies to guard peace in a divided world. And today, Belgium continues to serve not through conquest, but through compassion, offering its soldiers, resources, and spirit to missions that protect the vulnerable and promote global stability. This journey, shaped by hardship and hope, reflects a nation's deep commitment to freedom, unity, and peace for all.